So now that we went over how to look at the proper calculation for entering a trade, let's do it an easy way. Be warned, by doing the calculation this way, there can be problems, despite it being technically easier for some people. The issue is if you forget to constantly update your account balance. And let's say we decide to do something like this. We're planning a long trade here, and we also decide that we want to plan a short trade to follow. So something like this up to here, and we want to plan a short trade to follow. The settings between the long position and the short position will not adjust because TradingView will not realize that you've actually made a proper trade and you've taken profit on that trade. So if price were to come down and then up again and you hit the goal of this trade, for instance, the issue is if you're not constantly updating the long position settings and the short position settings, then you're going to have an issue. So it's not entirely advisable. It may be better for some people to do it this way. So I thought I'd mention both methods of forming this calculation. We know how the math works now anyhow. So let's go ahead and look at the calculation and how it works. So very simply, if you double click on the TradingView calculation here, the long position calculation, and you look under input settings, you can actually adjust your account size. So by default, you may be on USDT risk, but we're going to go to 1% or whatever percent risk you want to conduct on your account. And we'll put the account size. So if we have a $10,000 trading account, we'll go 10,000. So what this shows us is that the position size is actually quantity. So 0.744 would be the overall position size. The risk reward on this trade would be 1.42, which is the overall multiplier multiplied by the risk. So if it's a $10,000 trade, we have a $100 risk to be $142 profit. And as you can see, we can verify that very quickly without having to do the mental math. Look up here in the upper right-hand corner. Do you see where it says amount? That's showing us what the new amount of your account balance would be should the trade actually work and you get one take profit at the end. So in this case here, we have $10,142.19. The reason why it says 19 cents, of course, would be a rounding issue that the risk reward calculator is not showing. So this is an easier way of doing it. But again, let's actually play this guy out and see what happens. So let's see if we actually hit this trade or not. So clearly we just missed the dang thing. But if we had hit that trade, let's say we had to plan that a little, maybe we should have planned that a little better. But if we had to hit that trade, then in theory, with one take profit on this high, we would be up to $10,127.29. So let's say that you're like, you know what, I feel like long in the top right now. I have a feeling that this is just going to hold. I'm going to put my stop loss maybe a little bit under here, and I'm going to target up here using the same sort of math. I still want to compound my account. Nothing changes in the compounding world as long as you go and update this balance. You have to take this number to your newfound account balance. So we said 10,129, so 10,129. All right, so the quantity of this trade, given a $243.30 stop loss, would then be 0.416. The overall account balance would end up as $10,480.08 if we were to hit this trade. Now remember the settings here. We have the account balance as 10,129. But let's say you change your mind last minute and you're like, you know what, screw that. You know, I didn't enter that trade. I'm wiping that away. My account balance was 10,129. So let's go to the short position calculator and pretend we want to do this instead for whatever reason. The issue is, oh, look at that. The USDT amount is not the same. So not only do you have to remember to update it on the long position every single time, you have to do it on the short position every single time. So is it easier to do the math? For me, it is. I don't do it this way. It's the same math at the end of the day. Whatever floats your boat, right? If you want to go ahead and do it this way, you're more than welcome to do so. You have the option to do so. I'm providing that option. And you also have the option of doing the math using the calculator tool. The risk amount divided by the stop loss amount will tell you the position size. And from there, you just multiply it by the risk reward ratio on the trade. So one thing this helps with is it can save you a little bit of headache on the math. So like, let's say price were to come up and tag you in this trade. And you're like, you know what, though, I don't really feel this profit anymore. I don't think we're going to go down that far. Okay, so what you can do is if you set this properly, we'll go with 10,129 again, which is 1% of our account. And technically, we'd be at $10,657.63 if we hit the whole goal down here, but we don't want that goal anymore. We changed our mind. We're going to go with down to here. So what this helps us with is very quickly we're able to see what the net goal would be should we take profit at a certain level. So that it's beneficial in that way for sure. So let's say we at 2% gain, we'll be at 10,331.85. But if we take 50% of that out, then obviously the profit would then be whatever the risk amount is divided by 2, right? So like, let's say the overall risk was $100 on this trade. In theory, it's not really, but we'll say it is. $100 risk on this trade. Okay, so if you're at 2R or the multiplier is 2, you do 100 times 2, which is $200. So the $200 would then be divided by 2 because you're taking half the trade out. You're taking 50% of $200. That would give you $100 profit, right? So of course you can do it either way. If you want to do it a mixture of both, you're more than welcome.